Have you ever just stopped and wondered, how do we really know what happened thousands of years ago? I mean, how do we piece together the story of ancient civilizations? It's a huge question, right? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how historians become detectives of the past. So, let's dive in.
I love this quote by the historian E.H. Carr. He totally nails it. History isn't just a bunch of dusty old facts in a book. It's a living, breathing conversation. What happened way back then directly shapes our world right now. And figuring out that connection, well, that's the key to understanding just about everything.
Okay, let's make this personal for a minute. Seriously, think about it. What's your very first memory? Maybe you were 3, maybe 5. That memory is a piece of your personal history. It feels totally real, but it's just one person's perspective, yours. And that right there brings us to a super important idea, something at the very heart of how we study the past, the big difference between a personal memory and hard, solid evidence. Now, don't get me wrong, your memories are absolutely a real source for your own life story. They tell you who you are and where you come from. But if we want to build a bigger picture, a history that we all share, we're going to need something more.
And that's where evidence comes in. See, to build a story for everyone, historians can't just rely on one person's fuzzy recollection. They have to hunt for clues that anyone can look at, analyze, and test. Things like ancient writings, forgotten objects, and actual physical remains.
And this slide shows that difference perfectly. On the left, you've got a family tree that's built from stories and memories, right? Things passed down from one generation to the next. But on the right, you have artifacts, real, physical things that have actually survived all this time. Both tell us a story, but in completely different ways. So once we have all these different clues, what do we do with them? I mean, it would just be a chaotic mess without some kind of organization. And that's where one of the most basic, most important tools in history comes in, the timeline. A timeline is basically a map of time. It just lays everything out in the order it happened. And look, this isn't just about memorizing dates for a test. It's about seeing cause and effect. It's how we understand that, oh, okay, this happened, and then that led to this happening. It shows us the story.
Now, to build these timelines, we all need a shared way of marking the years. You've probably seen BC and AD before. Well, today, the global standard is BCE, which stands for Before Common Era, and CE, which means Common Era. It's pretty much the same system, just with terms everyone can use.
Now let's see one of these in action. When you put events on a timeline like this, suddenly things become so much clearer. We can see the Ice Age ending way back here, then the beginning of farming, which leads to the first big cities, and later, amazing civilizations like the Indus-Saraswati. It literally connects the dots across thousands of years.
Okay, so we have our clues, and we have a way to organize them. But who are the people actually doing all this work? You can think of them as a team of highly specialized detectives, and each one brings a unique skill to solving the mysteries of the past.
And here's the team. This is definitely not a one-person job. It takes all these different kinds of experts working together, geologists, archaeologists, and more, to create a really rich, detailed picture of what happened, and, just as importantly, why.
So each detective has their own specialty. Archaeologists are the ones out there digging in the ground, finding the stuff people left behind, tools, pottery, even whole buildings. Geologists give us the context of the land itself. Paleontologists study fossils to understand what life was like. And anthropologists, they study human culture, helping us understand the people behind all the artifacts.
So that leads us to the next big question. What exactly are these clues they're looking for? In history, we have a special word for them. We call them sources, and they come in all shapes and sizes. This mind map gives us a fantastic overview. You can see sources are basically split into different categories, like things we dig up, things that were written down, and even stories that were passed on. Each one opens a completely different window into the past. Archaeological sources are the actual physical things people left behind. We're talking about everything from giant monuments down to a simple clay toy, a sharp stone tool, or a single coin. These objects are real, tangible connections to the people who made them and use them every day. Then, of course, you've got clues from words. We call these literary and oral sources. Literary sources are things that were written down, like the incredible ancient texts from India, the Vedas and Puranas, or even journals from travelers visiting from other lands. But it's not just what's written. Oral sources, like folklore and family histories passed down through storytelling, are also vital clues. So here's the really crucial part.
A historian's job isn't just to collect these sources, it's to be skeptical. They have to carefully examine everything and ask tough questions. Who made this? Why did they make it? Can we trust what it says? By comparing all the different clues, they build the most accurate story they possibly can.
And that brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it? This whole process isn't about finding one final answer and closing the book. It's an ongoing investigation, a continuous conversation with the past.
So let's do a quick recap of our detective work. We've seen how timelines help bring order to the chaos of the past. We learned about the different ways we measure that time. And most importantly, we learned that everything we know about history is built on sources, the real clues left behind for us to find.
I think this is the perfect way to look at it. Every single source, whether it's a tiny piece of pottery or a massive ancient book, is one piece of a giant jigsaw puzzle. The historian's job is to see how they all fit together.
But here's the catch. We don't have all the pieces to the puzzle, not even close. Sometimes pieces are missing forever, and sometimes the pieces we do find don't seem to match. And you know what? That's what makes history so exciting. It forces us to think critically, to question everything, and to remember that our understanding can always change.
The story of the past is never really finished. With every new discovery, a new piece of that puzzle clicks into place, and our picture of what happened gets just a little bit clearer. The investigation continues, which really just leaves one final thought. What clues are still out there waiting for you to find?